the bag worker out of apartment 5B.
You're now tuned into the Apartment 5B podcast, where we chop it up about hip-hop, R&B, sports, love and life. Hosted by Kill.
What's good? You tuned to Apartment 5B, hosted by your man Kel. I got my squad with me in effect with me today. As always, ladies first. Porsche, what's good, miss?
How's it going, Kel?
Good. Nick, what's going on?
What's going on, big bro? How's it going?
Vay got to play in the Brooklyn. What's good, fam?
Chillin', man. Got my gangsta on today.
Nice.
Okay. Yo, you was at Yao's listening party?
Yeah, I was, man. It was dope, man. It was like, he played the whole album. But like the lyrics is potent and them beats are perfect. It's like, sometimes I like to refrain from using the term boom bap because sometimes that could just mean one version of boom bap, you know what I'm saying? Which is usually like really hardcore. But I think like lyrically, beats, just the whole vibe of the joint is just pure hip hop. So I think a lot of people gonna really rock with it.
Yeah, no doubt. That's definitely dope to hear. I was sorry I missed that joint. But all right, y'all already know this with me. Let's jump right into it. Every month to 2 months, I love doing a salute show just to show rapper love or producer love. We've done them for RZA, Primo, Q-Tip, Common. So today's show, we are talking about one of the illest, dopest producers, period, in the game, out of Queens, New York, Large Professor. So first thing we're gonna dive into is, when was the first time y'all heard Large Professor, and when was the first time you knew like this dude is serious? And the reason I'm asking that in a two-part question, because in the 90s, there was rappers coming out every week. You had Twin Hype, the little two twin niggas, and K9 Posse. So cats was coming out every day. So you may have heard them, but then when did you know like, yo, this dude got some shit behind him? Nick, what about you?
When I first heard him was looking at the front door, the single. My pops had it. Like my pops, he wasn't a hip hop head, he was a music head, and that was just one of those songs that he liked. So like when he liked the song, he would play it like the same song all day. And I think that's why I'm the way I am. I'll play one song for hours. So it had to be like 1991, maybe the summer. Looking at the front door was when I first heard him.
All right. And when you know like this ain't no just one hit wonder type dude, like this dude gonna be around for a minute?
Yeah, so just hanging out. I'll say when Faking the Funk came out, I'll say okay.
All right, no doubt.
It was official. Yeah,
no doubt. Porsche, what about you?
It would have been. I mean, I wouldn't have known at the time that it was Large Pro, but it would have been Akinyele's Vagina Diner album. But then, like when I actually knew that Large Pro was like dope as hell was Illmatic. And not because I'm a Illmatic, rib of hip hop kind of person, but it's just how well received that album was and how, and even like Main Source, like Live at the Barbecue and all of that kind of stuff, like just how much buzz he kind of stirred up and how much, I don't know how to like put it into words, but every time it was just like this big, everyone loved it. Everyone loved everything he was ever part of. So I knew like he was serious when Illmatic dropped.
All right, no doubt.
Let me make a correction, because let me not act like I was some historian at 11 years old. I'll say, I just thought about it because I'm gonna keep it a buck. I thought the two DJ niggas was the producers at first.
I think most everybody did.
So I would say Tribe Called Quest, Keep It Rolling. When I saw him produced by Large Professor, I said, oh, okay, so he a producer too. That was probably it for me.
Right. Hey, what about you?
Yeah, for me it was similar to Nick. First time like I like knew Large Professor was dope was looking at the Front Door video, mainly because he didn't look like your average rapper, you know what I mean? With the glasses and the mustache, and it was just like a young old nigga. Like, what is like, who is this? You know what I'm saying? But he was dope, you know what I'm saying? I really liked that record. And I remember I didn't have Breaking Atoms when it dropped, Main Source debut. But you know, I remember hearing Friendly Game of Baseball, you know what I'm saying, all these different records, and saying like, man, he's dope. But like you guys, I thought the DJs were the producers, and it wasn't until I found out later they weren't, when I started to reevaluate the album, thinking like, oh, well, Large Pro was probably making all them beats. But also, like Nick said, when I heard Faking the Funk, that just kind of really solidified it. Like, oh, he's dope without them. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that was it. Like that combination.
All right, no doubt. And for me, Nick, just like you said, I think all of us back in those days assumed the DJs make the beats. You know what I mean? Same thing with
Ali Shaheed Muhammad and Tribe.
You know, we just assumed when it said produced by Main Source or produced by a Tribe Called, just produced by the group itself, that was like, oh, okay, the DJ makes the beat. So I don't think you gotta be a historian to have, you know, thought the same thing. For me, it was Watch Roger do his thing. You know what I mean? That was like the first single off, but even before Looking at the Front Door was Watch Roger do his thing. And I think what caught me was same thing Veg said, like, this dude don't look like a rapper. You know what I mean? But he's dope. And then even like what he was talking about with Watch Roger do his thing. Like, this dude is talking about a regular dude from the neighborhood, you know, but he ain't selling drugs. This dude is going to school. He's interning. You know what I mean? Like, this dude is like taking a 9-to-5 approach to life. And one of the lines he says, he got a job at a parking lot teased because he wasn't making G's at a crack spot. You know what I mean? So it kind of was like similar to what I was saying. One of my peoples had asked me Friday, like, yo, Kill, how can you like Chance the Rapper and Griselda? And this is another reason why, because Large Pro just, I mean, I wouldn't know where he was from. I wouldn't think he's from Queens. I wouldn't think any of those things because he was just rhyming like an everyday dude. And then this was a topic wasn't no rapper talking about. Like, yo, I'm gonna tell you a story of a regular dude. Like, I'm not telling you a story of a thug. I'm not telling you a story of a dope deal. I'm not telling you a story that somebody gonna get killed at the end. Like, nah, it's just a regular dude doing the right thing and accomplishing goals. And it was like, yo, this is kind of dope. You know what I mean? So, and then the part that always got me was Roger does his thing and so can you. Like, it's like, yo, you don't have to take this route. You know, you could take this better route. So for me, you know, that's the first time I heard him. But then, like, when I knew it was a problem, was definitely Looking at the Front Door. Like, it was definitely like, damn, this dude is back again talking about real life shit. Like, you know, kind of like what we complain about at 45, there's no adult contemporary hip hop. Large Pro is giving you adult contemporary hip hop as a teenager.
Yeah,
exactly.
1991. Like, this dude is telling you about a dude like, yo, you ain't gotta sell crack. You can be successful like this. Like, yo, now it's, yo, I got problems with my girl. Like, you know what I mean? Like, nobody else was doing that back then. You know what I mean? We talking 91. You talking about Niggas for Life is out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the climate of hip hop at that time, this was just totally against the grain. And of course, you know, when this came out, that just was the magnum opus for me. I mean, Snake Eyes, we'll go into our favorite tracks, but this right here just was the solidifying, you know, bang on the table that this dude is on to something dope. But let's get right into that. What are your top 5 Large Pro fave tracks and why? Nick?
Just Hanging Out. You want me to drop all 5?
Yeah, drop all 5.
Okay.
Break them
So,
down too, man.
Just Hanging Out, just that sample. I just like the laid back. I think a lot of people, like my younger brother, he heard Boss Deeper.
Yeah.
So that's what he know the sample from. So when he heard me playing that, he was like, oh, they used the same sample as Boss. I was like, well, he used this first.
Right.
So yeah, that's one. Just a Friendly Game of Baseball. And the funny thing about that track is I heard it on the Boys in the Hood soundtrack before I even heard the album. So that was my first time hearing that song. I gotta say, It Ain't Hard to Tell, because that's the song that got me into Nas. So the Michael Jackson sample. He hooked that up. The top five. The title track from his solo debut, the LP, that joint. And I think Q-Tip might have flipped it again on the Renaissance album, but Large Pro did it first in '96, and then a group called Nonfiction. They had an album in like 2001, 2002, and he had a song on there called "We Are the Future." That's pretty dope. If people haven't, kept up with Nonfiction, I'll post when you make the post. I'll post that up. So that's probably one a lot of people haven't heard.
Right. All right, and that's your 5.
That's my 5.
All right, Porsche. What about you?
I got "Act Like You Know" off of Mecca and the Soul Brother, Stress remix. It Ain't Hard to Tell for sure, and I saw that live, and it's just, oh my god, it's unbelievable. It's great. Rewind, Nas's Rewind, and then the Heist off of Busta's album. Yeah, that one's just phenomenal.
Yeah,
I think
I
go
forgot
ahead.
I forgot. That would have definitely been one of mine. Hell yeah.
Yeah, like it's just, they're all great in their own right. Yeah, like I just feel like, and I'll get into it when we talk about remixes. Actually, same reasons apply to my top 5, so I'll save it for when we talk about the remixes.
All right, no doubt. What about you, Zay?
Top 5, I got Cool G Rap, Streets of New York. I mean, I didn't even know Large Pro did the beat, to be honest. I just thought it was a really dope record, and I think when I found out that Large Professor did it, but produced it, it was just like, man, that's part of the whole vibe of the whole beat, the whole song. I mean, like, that track and those horns and all of that, it sounds like a story, you know what I'm saying? It feels like a noir type style beat. And the video was kind of like that, especially the way Cool G Rap was dressed. But yeah, I always loved that track. It Ain't Hard to Tell. Obviously love Human Nature. I think that was the first time, not the first time, because it happened a couple of times with Michael Jackson getting sampled, but I always used to wonder, like, nobody samples Michael Jackson, you know what I'm saying? And the way they did that joint, the video with it, Nas with the lyrics, was just dope. Rakim in the Ghetto, just like really soulful beats that you feel like as an MC, you gotta say something, you know what I'm saying? You gotta say something special, can't be wasted. Resurrection remix.
Hell yeah.
By Large Pro. I mean, if you listen to any old school mix, especially when it's about the 90s, they play that record all the time. Like, to the point I almost forgot the original. I'm like, wait, right? Not the original? You know what I'm saying? And what else? I guess one more, right? What I had here. Ain't Hard to Tell, blah, blah. I like the Large Pro joint, Stay Chiseled. I don't know what it is about that track. It's just, again, it has a vibe to it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll say this, for like all those records I named and some of the records y'all named, his beats got character, you know what I'm saying? Like, yes, you could tell he was thinking about what the song should be about when he created it. Like, some producers do that, and then some producers just make beats that are hot. But all of these beats tend to have like a character to it, and the right MCs were on it. So that's my 5.
All right, no doubt. Before I get into my 5, I want to salute Paul C, who a lot of people may not know, Large Pro's mentor. White cat, out of Queens. A lot of people, when they hear the name Paul C, they think it's black. It's a white dude. Paul was doing Ultramagnetics beats. Well, let me say this. Paul was doing a lot of drum programming, because, in keeping in mind, again, back in these days, everybody didn't have drum machines. So you would just come to the studio with records or an idea in mind, and then whoever was the engineer would kind of hook it up. So that's kind of what Paul C was for a lot of people. So for Ultramagnetic, Super Love Seeing, Casanova Rudd, Organized Confusion, Steezo, It's My Turn Effect. Paul was the first person to ever use the Skull Snap break right here. This was the first time I ever heard this break, which is just now one of the dopest and most, well-known breakbeats in hip-hop history was Paul C first. But Paul got murdered, I want to say 90.
89, I think.
89, all right. And very, you know, sad situation, because keep in mind, 89, what am I, I'm 14, 15, you know what I mean? I think at that point in time, the only death in hip hop had really happened was like Scholar Rock.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So like with Paul C, you know me, I've always been in the records and beats, so it was like, damn, you know, Paul C got killed or whatever. And if y'all don't people, go back and on my site, the Live from the Rice Bench, when we had Prince Poe from Organize on, he told an ill story of how he went to Paul's crib the next day because they had a session, not even knowing he was murdered. And the cops like arrested him and took him down to the precinct. You know?
Oh, wow.
You know, because it's like, yo, why is this black dude coming to this white type thing? So check that out. But yeah, just wanted to see Paul C. And that's why if you ever see production credits, it'll say produced by Law Professor for Paul C Productions. It spells it S-E-A-N-C, not just the letter C. So salute to Paul. My number one, probably Faking the Funk, man. The way Pro put that together with the ba, like, you know, like this is 91, 92, so I didn't really start making beats till like 93, 94. So I'm thinking everything fit together so perfectly. I'm thinking it all came from one song. You know what I mean? So that shit used to blow my mind when I'd hear Pete Rock join and Pete Dunn got, you know, 5 different songs put together. Like that shit would blow my mind. Like, damn, like that ain't the whole sample. Like that's just one part over here. So Faking the Funk was crazy off the White Men Can't Jump soundtrack and had me hype as hell for the next Main Source album. You know what I mean? That we never got. Nick, just like you said, just hanging out. The 90% of Me sample I've always loved, and I love the fact how he combined Sister Nancy's Bam Bam in there. You know, with like, you know, little scratch, you know, bomb, what's up? I was like, no, this nigga's on some next shit right now. Like, the people though, again, young folk don't understand. This was not your normal in hip hop. You weren't Dixon reggae in hip hop, you know, back then. So that was crazy. And I just like the story, like how he like, yo, I'll be chilling in Mount Vernon with Pete Rock and CL making beats that's sharper than cleats, you know, just Large Pro, just like, yo, we just hanging out. We ain't doing no shit. We just get in the car, we hang out, we just hanging out. Stress, Organized Confusion remix. I hated the original Stress. I thought the beat was horrible. I thought the video was horrible. I hated everything about that song. I was like, yo, what the fuck is this? And then when I heard the remix and he starts it off with that tap repeat,
yeah.
So it's the verbal, yo, and then all three of them just killed it. You know what I mean? And a lot of people may say, Large Pro ain't that nice on the mic. Well, that nigga kind of held his own with Prince.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to give him something, because it's very hard to hold your own with Prince Poe and Pharaoh.
And Pharaohs, yeah.
You know what I mean? And Large Pro's verse may have been the dopest. You know what I mean? Like, so another one, the Rap World. Now I don't know if him or Pete did this.
Yeah, that's why I didn't choose that one.
This is like one of my little extras, because I don't know who did the beat, but that shit was crazy. Off the High School High soundtrack, that joint was crazy. And like Vague said, the Ghetto, Eric B. and Rakim. You know, a lot of people don't know Paul did a lot of ghost production on Let the Rhythm Hit. You know what I mean? Because at that time, I want to say Eric B. had already kind of tapped Paul to do that album, but Paul got murdered. So it was kind of like, yo, get Paul's young boy to do it, which kind of flows into the Streets of New York. Same thing with G-Rap. And it just, you know, since Eric had used him, I can't remember which one came first. So it may have been the G-Rap album came first, and they liked what he did with that and then brought him over for that. But yeah, he did do some stuff on that. And then my last joint, I got it ain't hard to tell, but I got the remix, because when I
know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And I was like, Nas is the king of disco, and I'm like, yo, when the fuck did Bismarck shout out Nas? Like, and I'm like racking my brain, and I'm like going through all my old Biz records, and I'm like, yo, this nigga took the highly recognized as disco off of Nobody Beats the Biz and chopped it and freaked. Nas is the king of disco. I was like, done. Like, that's enough right there to get you on my Mount Rushmore. Just the fact that what. These are the questions. This is why I wanted Paul on the show, because I'm like, yo, what the fuck was on your mind? Was you high? Was you get some, like, I need to know your mindset of where you thought to chop, recognize, and make it nice. And, yeah, so those are my top 5 beats right there. Now tell me this: a lot of people.
Oh, I got one bonus one.
Yeah, no doubt. What you got?
Slick Rick, I Sparkle from the Wild Wild. What was the Will Smith movie? The Wild Wild West.
Yeah, Wild Wild West.
Yeah. He had a joint with Slick Rick called I Sparkle. That was dope.
They word. I never even heard that.
Yeah.
I think the only reason why I even heard part of that soundtrack was because of Kel. And outside of that, I don't think I ever heard anything else.
Yeah, you ain't missing nothing.
Yeah, I ain't listened to it either.
But the Slick Rick joint is dope. I got to check.
Dope. Yeah.
All right.
I'll link it up.
All right. So tell me this. Whenever I hear about remix, of course, we know Pete Rock, we hear about, but I never hear Large Pro's name brought up in remixes. Whereas I think just off that Stress remix alone, to me, if you can make me go from hating a song to loving it, that's you putting in work. So tell me, what is some of y'all fave Large Pro remix? Nick?
Well, so y'all will probably have to fill me in because I didn't know he did that many. So of course we got the Stress, we got the Common, he actually did 2. He had 2 Resurrection. He had the Extra P mix and then the Lost Professor mix. So he had 2 of those. He did the Gang Store Gotta Get Over remix, which is dope. And then he did what was the other one? He did one for Slick Rick.
It's a boy.
It's a boy.
Yeah. So outside of those, I know he did like another version of A Friendly Game of Baseball too. It was like another version of that.
I mean, to be honest, I know he did What's Next remix for Leaders, you know what I mean? But
I ain't never heard
that's
that.
on my list too.
Those 4 or 5 you just named to me are the joints that shine for me. So
he also did the industry remix for Cormega, and it's got like Deck on it, and it's got like a bunch of people on it.
Saying
and
Cormega, so I'm already.
But it's dope. I like Cormega.
You already
I know
checked
this
out?
panel does not like.
You have to link it up though.
But
link it up because once Mega, I'm like, okay.
I'll link it up.
All right.
It's got like Deck, Rock Marciano. It's got God, who is it? Cormega, Rock Marciano, Inspector Deck, Sadat X, and Lord Jamar on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a posse cut.
It's a posse cut, and it's pretty dope. I mean, you guys don't like Cormega, so I already know you're not gonna like it. But
I like the other niggas on there, so
yeah.
All right, so Nick, out of those that you named, what would you say is your favorite?
Probably the Stress.
The Stress
remix, yeah.
All right, no doubt. Porsche, what about you?
So I have
Large remix.
Yeah, so I have pretty much like nicknamed them, but I also have Peer Pressure from Juvenile Hell, and the reason I like that is because, just like you said with the other joint, this I didn't like anything off of Juvenile Hell, but then this remix sounds great. It's so good. And the other thing I want to say is, obviously we all talked about reasons, but I think there's something to be said about the fact that, and I guess Vegas touched on it a little bit, is that Large Professor makes beats for, like, he has a signature sound that we hear in all of his beats, but none of them sound exactly the same. So it's not cookie cutter ever. And it always complements the artist and MC that he's providing the beat for. And I love that. So that's why, like, Stress is, my favorite one on the list. Resurrection, like Veg said, it's amazing, but none of them sound the same, but they're all, they all have like the good drum, the horns that we all love, but they all sound so different, and I love that about Large Professor.
No doubt. Veg, what about you?
Resurrection remix, Stress remix, It Ain't Hard to Tell remix. I like that joint a lot. What else he did? I like the Peer Pressure joint because, like Portia said, I wasn't really a fan of Mobb Deep with this album, and a lot of it had to do with production also. So I like this joint, and the Slick Rick, It's a Boy.
Yep.
That was dope too.
All right, what would you say is your favorite joint out of all those right there?
Probably the Nas, because like remember like when the cassette single came out, it was like 1 million remixes on there. But that was the one I loved the most for the same reasons you said, man. Like I was doing the same thing. I was about to ask him, like, yo, like Biz, like Like, when did this happen? But yeah, I just thought it was just a dope beat altogether, and him flipping that sample and it just going right. I didn't think I would like anything more than the original song, to be honest, because I love the beat and the whole vibe of it. But yeah, that's probably my favorite.
All right, no doubt. Everybody named all the remixes. I would probably have to say my favorite joint is the Gotta Get Over remix that he did for Gangstar. Because I honestly, I know a lot of people like the Can't Stop the Prophet, the P-Rock remix better than the original. I think it's dope. I just still like the original better. But this is the first time somebody remixed Gangstar over Premier, and I liked it better than the original. Like, I like it a whole lot better than the original, which I can't say that for anybody else. And kind of like what everybody's already said, that's something that, Extra P has the ability to do, is almost, like Veg said, make you forget about the original. Like, I don't think about the original Resurrection whenever somebody brings up Comp's Resurrection. I never think of the original Stress when somebody brings that up. I still think of the original It Ain't Hard to Tell. But yeah, you just don't. And I think that's a job in itself, to not just be able to remix something and make it dope, but to be able to remix something, make it dope, and maybe even better than the original. And the people he's remixing ain't no slouches,
Right.
Stress was Buck Wild, Resurrection was No ID, Gotta Get Over is Premier, you know what I mean? Like, you're not remixing those slouch dudes that nobody ever heard of. So to me, to be able to do that and, make it so dope is just, extra to me. Like, it's even extra points or whatever like that. Now, tell me this. I know Pro has never really produced an entire album for somebody else outside of Ox, Vagina Diner, which I believe is so highly slept on.
Yeah, it is, man.
He produced Mega Philosophy by Cormega, but you guys wouldn't know that because you don't listen.
He did the whole album?
The whole album.
I might check it out just for that.
That was the last album.
It, you guys.
No, for real, I might check it out. I didn't know that.
Yes, it's Life Professor, and it was dropped. He dropped it in 2014.
Is there an instrumental version of it? Like,
I don't know, Kill. I have no idea. Probably.
All right, I gotta find it. What's the name of the album though?
It's called Mega Philosophy. You guys.
Now, don't act like people don't want the instrumental version of Living Proof. Like, and I don't think that.
No, I like Lil Dap.
Exactly.
You can take Malachi off.
Exactly. So
it's just because the reason why I laugh is because Cormega is so slandered on this panel. It's crazy. Like, just on Apartment 5P in general, I want to say. No,
I don't dislike them like Kill though. I don't dislike them that much.
Oh. I actually buy Cormega's albums. I like Cormega.
I actually like the first one he put out, The Realness. I think that's what it's called.
It's not slander. Music speaks for us all different.
Yes, it does.
Like I said with food, if I don't like lettuce, I'm not slandering it. I just don't like lettuce.
But I'm not gonna pretend like Nature Flow wasn't tighter than Cormega's.
But Mega Philosophy is entirely produced by Large Professor, so please do check it out. I don't know if there's an instrumental version, but I hope there is.
All right, my bad. What were you saying about Vagina Diner?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I was saying I need a copy. I don't have that album.
Oh, all right, yeah, I'll definitely get you one. But, this to me is super slept on. I mean, I know cats may not mess with the, Ock had that weird style. You know what I mean? And Ock came in on the cusp of, like I was saying the other day in one of my videos about the Blunt and Heineken era of hip hop. You know what I mean? I came, if I would have dropped 2 years earlier, niggas would have ate up that, that style.
I think that just the title messed it up. Because if you look at the title, you think it's like some perverted ass album, and it's really not.
I mean, true, but then again, we had NWA talking about, I'd rather fuck you. So I mean, we're coming to that place of hip hop where I don't think any nigga would have been like Vagina Diner. Nah, that don't sound good to me.
No, I mean, like, for promotion wise, putting that up on the store, you're not gonna put Vagina Diner in the front of Sam Goody.
Front of your record store.
Yeah.
Right, Sam Goody in the mall, not having Vagina Diner as the main post. But I think if he would have came out a little early, kind of like with K Solo, like that's why K Solo, that spelling shit went out. Like by the time '93 came and niggas was smoking and drinking Heineken, ain't nobody want to be spelled that. So I think that whole style got put out. But production wise, this album is incredible. I mean, you talk about Dear Diary, I love her. I mean, you
Out
talk
of State, No Exit.
You got joints. I love it. He used that sample that Pete ended up using for the Lots of Lovin' remix before Pete used it. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of heat on this album. So if you've never heard it, definitely check it out. But album wise, Nick, what did you think about Vagina Dot? Did you rock?
It was tight to me. And I like, I think Akinelli is underrated. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean, of course, his style is an acquired taste. Everybody not gonna like it, but yeah, that was a dope album.
And keep in mind with Ak, he didn't have to do that because even with the Loud Hangover with Sadat,
Hell yeah.
So, Vague, what did you think about Vagina Dot?
I thought it was dope. Like I didn't have it back then, but I knew people had it and I had heard it, and I was big on Akinelli. Like like Akinelli was really no shade, but when I heard Live at the Barbecue and I first heard Akinelli, like that's the dude I was kind of locked into because like you said back then the whole gimmicky style and he was doing something other people weren't doing and it sounded great. So I was into it. He had the videos back in the days and all of that. So yeah, I dug it, man. I'm just surprised because I'm like, you know what? I don't have that album like at all. CD, nothing.
Right. Porsche, what about you?
Yeah, I rocked with Vagina Dinner. I liked it. I like Akinelli.
All right.
And I agree with Nick 100%. Kind of underrated. And yeah, I mean, people should check it out.
Now tell me this, because one thing I've always thought about, one of the things I always give Large Pro props for, because I always felt like he could have brodied the whole Nas project. Mm-hmm. He could have said, you know what, I got this young dude, he's the next coming, I'm going to basically do an Ock. Like he produced Ock's whole album. He ain't go out and get Large, here,
Rocket,
so I always gave him props because I felt like he said like, yo, this is bigger than me. And I could be dead ass wrong, maybe, but it's just my belief that he probably was like, yo, this shit is gonna be bigger than me. Let me make sure he gets with the right people or whatever. And it's one of the joints we did on the What If show, one of our What If shows that What If Large Pro produced, the entire Illmatic. It's still a 5 mic classic. And I think that's what kind of happened with Ock. I think, because the beats are crazy and everything else, but like we said, Ock just didn't make it. Now tell me this, one of the things that you never heard about, Nick touched on it earlier, same thing with Vega, about not knowing that, he was a producer. So we talked, this half of the show just about beats. We haven't even touched on Large Pro really on the mic like that. You know what I mean? And I feel like his name is, when you hear best producers on the mic, I hear people say Diamond D, or, Pete Rock or Dr. Dre. I hear all kinds of things, but I never hear Large Professor. Why do y'all think that is? Like, Nick, what did you think about Large Pro on the mic?
Yeah, I think he was a dope MC. Yeah, like, I think because even just doing research for the show, he doesn't have a gang of material. That's why I noticed, like, he didn't do a lot of production in the 90s, and I'm like, why didn't more cats work with him? Because he really didn't have that much out there. And I think it's the same, because if you got the Main Source album, his album never dropped. So then you just had like the few features that he did to go off of. So I just think he didn't have a lot of material out there for people to rank him that high, as far as MC wise.
Right. But you like him on the mic.
Oh, hell yeah.
All right. What about you, Porsche?
Yeah, I like Large Pro on the mic. It's just very difficult to speak to MCing when you're so good at production. Do you know what I mean? Like, I enjoy Large Professor's albums, like the LP. I like that album a lot. But I don't think his MCing is at the same exact caliber as his production is. Oh, so oftentimes, definitely not. So oftentimes, like, people are like, yeah, well, I don't need to hear him on the mic. I just want to hear him on beats, So that's why I think he doesn't have as much out there. His expertise lays in his production, not really in his rhyming. But again, I do enjoy him as an MC as well.
All right, Vig, the resident MC. How do you feel about Large Pro on the mic?
I always thought Large Professor was dope. I think the reason why a lot of people don't bring his name up is for the same thing that Nick said. He had the Main Source album, and we all knew, you know, he was a dope MC. We heard Fake in the Funk, and then it was kind of like only features and a couple of production credit. Some on the low, because I didn't even know he did In the Ghetto by Rakim.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, I started to look at him more as a producer than a rapper, because he hadn't really had solo projects, especially once his joint, the LP, got shelved.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, because I remember, like, when the Mad Scientist video came out, and I was like, oh, like, finally, because when he was on Tribe Midnight Marauders, and he said, buy the album when I drop it, I was ready.
Exactly.
Like, I was like, oh, word, you got an album coming. And then it was like it never came until like a couple years later with the Mad Scientist video, and then the album still didn't come. So I think a lot of people just kind of just looked at him as a producer, and that's kind of where he stayed, unfortunately.
Right. I agree with all y'all, and I think, again, just for cats who think Large Pro is just average, again, listen to that Stress Remix. This dude is in between two of the dopest MCs
Exactly.
on planet Earth. And again,
Prince Poe is hella underrated.
Yeah,
Due to
Prince
being
Poe
in the
is
group with
hella-
Pharoah Monch.
yeah,
he-
Prince Poe. So again, we love Pharaoh, but Poe got bars too, and to be put right dab in the middle of them, and like I said, he has my favorite verse on the Stress Remix. You know what I mean? So just keep that in mind for people who be like, he's just all right. But I firmly believe that if this album would have came out, supposed to come out 1996, because this is around the time I want to say he was on Geffen, and at that time the Roots was on Geffen too, but they shelved the album because the album is so SP1200 heavy, and by 96 Puff had already taken over hip hop. So by that time, you could not have put this album out into this ain't, and for people watching, this ain't nowadays where you could just go to, you know, stream it and find a website to download it. No, music was getting pushed in the same way. So Biggie was getting, now Biggie would get more of a push, don't get it twisted, but all we had was magazines. All we had was magazines, hard. So it was, you know, there's no way that this was competing with Bad Boy and Foxy.
Exactly.
And everybody else was putting out. So from a record executive standpoint, I get why you would have to shelve it, because nobody's really gonna fuck with it like that. But if that joint to me when it came out, I mean, I look, man, the bullshit, hungry. I just want to like this a 5 mic album to me.
Yeah,
you know?
It's a dope ass album. Yeah,
and like that said, when Mad Scientist came out, yo, that was crazy. Man. You know, Just Want to Chill came out. That was dope, and it was like, but like Veg said, then the album ain't gone for like another 10 years. Like, you know, 5 years went by before we eventually. You know, hell, you can look at the picture of Large Professor on the back of this. The same age he was when he made Fake in the Funk. So, so, you know, and then from there, he went on and put out, you know, some solo albums. I didn't love them. This was one of the ones that I really did enjoy. This one was just called The Large Professor.
You
know,
I think he put out one called First Class. That was like the first solo. That was like 2002. So, you know, you're going from Breaking Atoms to that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I think, like you said, kind of one of the things that the sad part about once hip hop started going through that Puff era was that you had certain producers you went to. Like Premier was the go-to street dude. You know what I mean? So if you weren't Premier or maybe Pete Rock, and almost by that time Pete Rock dipped off between
Main Ingredient and Soul Survivor.
Like that was a good 3-year span. And again, that time period, the I&I album got shelved, you know, the album got shelved. So it's not like these dudes weren't working. It's just their music wasn't being heard, you know, by the masses. So I think that was the other thing with Large Pro. He kind of lost his footing. Kind of like, to me, Just Blaze eventually became what Primo used to. You know, because back in about 2003, it was, we need that street banger. You know, nobody was even going to Primo anymore.
Exactly.
So I think it was kind of like the same thing kind of happened with Pro. With that, because Primo was one of the few people who could ride that I'm gonna do a track for fucking some random dudes from Brooklyn, all city that nobody ever heard of, that I love, by the way. I'm just saying at that time, I'm like, fuck, it's all city. Like, go in the studio and have Big come in right afterwards. So not too many people ever had it. So I think that's the thing too. Now tell me this. Does Large Pro make your top 10 of greatest producers ever? Nick, what you got for me?
Yeah. He's like in the 6 to 10 range, but he makes my top 10 because my favorite albums came out between 91, 96, and he played an important part in that. So like that era, it was like Premier, Pete Rock, Lost Professor, Q-Tip, Organized Noise, Dr. Dre, RZA, Havoc. Those are like my favorite producers because that music soundtracked my youth into adulthood. So he's definitely in my top 10, probably like 7 or 8.
All right, no doubt. And it's funny you said that. I'm glad you did because I actually forgot it. A lot of people don't know Large Pro is the one who taught Havoc how to make beats.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of people don't know Large Pro was the one who taught Cream how to filter samples.
Yeah, I remember Cream saying it. Yeah.
So there's a lot about, we saluted Tip last time for, his six degrees of hip hop, and when you see so many things, but Large Pro 6 degrees of hip hop is something nasty too.
Yes.
To be able to say, you taught Primo how to filter samples, and Primo didn't use the SP12 like that he taught him how to, and he taught Havoc how to make beats. And again,
and he taught Pete Rock as well, right?
Well, I don't see, before you start some stuff that I won't say, from what I heard, is that he didn't teach Pete stuff, but that they would dig together. Well,
here's the thing. One time I tweeted out that Pete Rock and Premier are like, the end all and be all of producers, and you know how I do. And then Pete Rock actually added me, and he was like, if you mention us, you need to mention Large Professor. Like and I was talking about the SP1200, and he was like, you have to give credit where credit is due. And he like totally, and I was like, yikes. And I was totally like, humbled, obviously. But then, yeah, so that's why I said what I said, is because of what Pete kind of tweeted me one time.
So I don't know if Large taught Pete how, because there's a difference between teaching somebody how to drive and teaching somebody how to parallel park.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a difference. Like, I know a lot of people who could drive and put them in front of a parallel parking space, they freeze the fuck up. So I know Pete learned a lot from Eddie F., who was the DJ producer for Heavy D and the Boys. And I know Pete and him would dig a lot, but I know Pete is very, even just over the whole Troy break, because for years it's been the Large Professor really produced Troy because he gave Pete the record, and I've seen videos with Pete, being like, yeah, he gave me the record, but that does not mean he did.
He produced.
Yeah, that doesn't mean he produced it.
Somebody else, is it Diamond D? He give people co-producer credit.
Diamond the sample. Right, Diamond will give. That's why, I think freestyle was a couple of things that Large Pro got co-production on, but because I know Diamond does it like that, that's why I didn't even mention those, because it's like, if you give me the record, then you'll get co-production or whatever like that. So, I mean, I'll say this. I'm sure they dug together. Maybe he taught him a trick or two on the SP.
Right.
I don't know if he taught
him. Sure.
But I was going to say that, to me, Large Pro is just as synonymous with the SP1200 as Pete Rock is.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, and I know a lot of people, and I don't know why. I don't know why, like, people who don't know shit about production will be like, oh, SP1200, Pete Rock. But don't do the same for Large Pro. You know what it probably is? Probably because he had it on the back of the cover for the main ingredient.
Yeah. He had it on display.
I got an SP1200 book around here somewhere in this studio. This joint right here. About the SP12. And they interviewed like 60 producers, and probably at least 50 of them was like, I brought the SP1200 because I saw it on the back of main ingredient.
Yeah.
It literally was like, everybody was like, I got SP1200 because of Pete Rock. So that probably is why Pete is synonymously known with that. But to me, Large Pro is right there with them like that. So Porch, what about you? Does Large Pro make your top 10?
Yes, he makes my top 5. And for the reason that he's done so much in terms of beats and production on like really great albums throughout all the music that I've listened to. So I have to sort of recognize that. And yes, he absolutely makes my top list.
All right, no doubt. Veg, what about you?
Let me add one thing too about Large Professor. He's like what Paul Mooney is to comedy. You know what I'm saying?
Good one.
Paul Mooney is a legend if you really, really, really know comedy, if you really know the inner workings, if you really know all of the comedians he kind of raised on the low and wrote for, like Chappelle's Show, like In Living Color, like the Richard Pryor Show, like Richard Pryor. And Large Professor is like Paul Mooney in that regard, because a lot of people don't think of Paul Mooney when they think of big black comedians that, you know, were dope, that are legends. He's mentioned, but it's kind of like he's just mentioned out of courtesy, but he's impacted and had so much to do with the comedy and black comedy throughout the years that it's almost criminal, because it's like, well, damn, he's the reason why, you know, like Richard Pryor's set was always funny. Like he was Richard Pryor's writer. Like that's crazy. Large Professor's kind of the same way. He's touched so many different classic albums and worked with people and taught people and like done so much, but you never really hear his name. He really don't get appreciated as much. But yeah, like for me, he's definitely in my top 10. I don't know if I could say top 5, but I kind of look at like my top 10 of producers more so of the records you produce, how much I like them, how much I like the beat, how many of them had that kind of impact on me. But yeah, like he has to make a top 10 in anybody's hip hop. If they looking at the grand, whether you were born or not, you know, you were a student of the game. Yeah. You know, you have to see that Large Professor is important because he's done so much that's dope, and he doesn't get appreciated a lot. But definitely in my top 10.
Yo, let me ask you this. We're going to pause for a second on Large Pro, and I hate doing this during these tribute shows. But, babe, when people tell me that throws me that comedians don't write their own jokes. Like, if I just stuck on this ghostwriting shit, but I'm like, no, nigga, how you don't write your own jokes? Like, are we good at that? Like, that's good? Like Kevin Hart, you telling me jokes about your kids, and you ain't writing the jokes about your kids? Like, is it just me, or not
at all. I think for me, because look, kid, I was the same way, man. When I heard that Keenan Ivory Wayans and Robert Townsend and Paul Mooney helped with them jokes on Raw, I was like, wait a minute, that ain't all Eddie Murphy jokes?
Oh, so I ain't know that. Jeez.
Like, I mean, you watch Eddie Murphy Raw, like, yeah, it says Robert Townsend, you know,
right.
Directed it and all that shit.
They directed it or something like that. I ain't thinking they.
Nah, man, it's kind of a thing where that's why, like, a couple of years ago, Kevin Hart had a lot of beef with some comedians because of the simple fact that it's a thing that they do. They share jokes, they come up with ideas, they write for each other for, you know, different sets, especially if you have a big show or whatever, like a HBO show or whatever the case may be. It's kind of like a part of the culture, you know what I'm saying? But obviously there's the execution part of it. And you know, Eddie Murphy is funny. He don't need nobody to write his jokes. But it's just that once they get to a certain stage, a certain level or whatever, where they got to keep them jokes fresh, them writers come in handy. So it's not quite like hip hop, because in comedy there's like no rules, like you got to write your own shit. It's encouraged for you to have a team. Whereas in hip hop, it's like, well, at least back in the day, it was like, nah, you don't write your own shit, you trash. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man.
It was funny to me because, but then when you're talking, I'm wondering, like you said, it's against the rules of hip hop, but I'm thinking like, because it's like when you're coming up, because I almost feel like maybe it's the same across the board. Like you said, it's a thing of, because I'm assuming like, and the reason why I'm like rambling is because I'm thinking for different things. Like for instance, my man Mills used to dig for Ye. Like around, I guess, Graduation, was that the second Kanye album?
Third.
Late Registration. Around Late Registration, he would dig for Ye. So Ye would, you know, call him, email him and say, yo, this is the vibe I'm looking for. My man will go digging for him. And I'm like, God damn, you that big that you don't even want to go digging no more? Like, that was the fun. No, but that's like the fun to me. Like, yo, when I would go, know I'm going digging on a Saturday, I'm excited. It's like Christmas Day for me. But I'm also not working on 10 people's albums and, you know, doing 50 million different things that I don't now have time to. So I'm just wondering, Greg, like you said, like once you get to a certain point, because I'm sure Eddie had to start off writing his jokes. Like before Eddie knew Robert Townsend and Keenan Ivory Wayans, like him and Charlie or somebody had to just that had to be you. So I guess it's just once you get to that point, I guess it's just sad that we don't make time for the things that we used to love to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like even as an MC, it's like, oh, I'm too busy. I'm on featured on 10 different nigga shits. I don't have the time where it's just like I said, I guess it's just sad to me being a fan of the culture is that it's just damn like, nigga, you can't take a day to just go digging. Like I get it, yeah, like you're all over the world, but damn, can you take one day just to go digging? But I mean, maybe you can. So
yeah, look, I think because I agree, you feel like, you got a budget. Like, we ain't got no budget. We writing beats, making beats before you go to work. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So I'm like,
so, but I think if we had it where we had a budget or whatever, like it's always with the first album, the first big comedy television show or whatever, where it's usually mostly you. But I know like after a while, these projects kind of become projects, you know what I'm saying? And it's more like they can't fail, even if you're not the biggest artist in the world. So a lot of times you start trying to perfect everything you make. And, like it becomes a lot of pressure on one person because now you're forcing the art. Like, whereas in the past, I was writing rhymes every day when I was young. But if I was doing appearances and doing shows and flying here and flying there, sure, I might write some shit traveling, but like I might want to sleep, like, you know what I'm saying? So I might just tell my homie, like, yo, I'm gonna take a nap, just come up with concepts of records, and then go through this 1,000 beats that Kill sent me overnight through email with no zip drive. And just let me know what's hot. I'm the type of person that would probably still go through it, but I think it's just different for different artists.
Yeah, and it makes sense. I guess like I said, the fan of me is just sad because and I guess that's why, because I saw the younger comics or the less successful comics dissing Kevin Hart, but you never really see the same successful people dissing those people because I guess they get it. They're like,
yeah, they understand.
We in the same room now. Like y'all niggas down there on the first floor. Like we up here in the penthouse. Like up here in the penthouse, we don't write our rhymes. We don't write our jokes. Y'all peasants down there on the first floor. Y'all still gotta do that shit. So I guess that makes sense because usually even in hip hop, it's like the Gilly the Kid telling the Lil Wayne, you don't write your rhymes. You know what I mean? Like it's not a Drake telling Lil Wayne or somebody on your same level. It's always somebody below you calling you out for what it is. All right, back to Large Pro. He definitely makes my top 10. I'm like Nick, he's in there between 6 and 10 somewhere, but this man has done too much for hip hop. Just like I said with the remixes, you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who remixes songs and makes them not only as dope as the original, but maybe even doper. I mean, this mofo outdoes himself. It ain't hard to tell which class
yeah.
is.
Remix his own joint.
Like, that's even more seldom when you already got a banger on your hands. You could have just left it as is, but you come back with something even greater. The Ghost production, just from this, the second Coogee Rap album and the third Green Rock album, I'm now thinking, what else?
Exactly.
The other Ghost production out there that we don't know about, and I heard Eric B was like the East Coast Suge Knight. So, again, I don't think I've ever seen an interview where Paul is really talking about doing these beats or whatever like that. I don't even know how word got the air about it, but he's just done too much for music. And one of the things that I've always saluted him for, he would always give his kind of like with Tip would give his drum solos. Like Large Professor would really make a beat have a solo. Like in Snake Eyes, there's a flute solo. So nobody else is like, yo, let the flute breathe. Let the not let the drums, not let the bass line, a deep cover breathe. No, we gonna let this flute play for let it go for 15 seconds. Stuff like that, like people weren't doing. And then on the rhyming tip, like I said, when you really look at, and I just put it back somewhere, I don't look at it, I won't be able to remember it. The things he's talking about on this album, again, this is a dope contemporary hip hop in 91. You're talking about a friendly game of baseball, police brutality. You know what I mean? You're talking about peace is not the word to play. Dealing with people getting shot in the way that we're acting out here. Watch Roger do his thing. Here's a good kid from the hood coming up. Here's the right way to do it. You know, looking at the front door. I'm having relationship drama with my girl. Like, this is what I want at 45, and I got this when I was 17. Like, so that alone to me, and this album still, I mean, people killing each other. You know, police boots out. Like, this album, stuff on this album still speaks to people. I'm horrible at math, so if I fuck up, nobody at me at Twitter. 30 years later, I'm just throw 30 out there. It probably isn't.
Damn near 30,
yeah. But like, this is like a masterpiece of masterpieces when you really start to break it down. So he definitely makes my top 10. So more importantly, prayerfully, he sees this. Like Noah always says on Drink Champs, we want to give these people, you know, they roses while they still here. I don't want to wait. God forbid something to happen. And now everybody wants to be talking about the genius that Large Pro was. Vegas, dope point on Paul Mooney. That's it right there. I think that's probably the best way to look at Large Pro. This from what Vague said, just being a Paul Mooney of hip hop, which is, you know, dope to me. So Vague, give him all the info, good brother.
All right, you can follow me on social media, that being Twitter and Instagram at Vegas World INC. And you can check out my podcast, Hip Hop Now Podcast, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And stay tuned because me and Kill got an album out featuring Yao, Woods, Viral, bunch of people on the joint, Sight, Burn, everybody.
Nice.
So it'll be dope.
Let me say this. We did this. The name of the album is Keep Calm. We brought